Money, 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 money. Money, 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 money. Money. It's called a prop. It's called a prop. Money. No. No, no, no. This is not what this video is about. This video is actually about plants that don't cost you a lot of money. These plants should not cost you more than $10, alright? So if you find that you're coming across these plants and they cost you $11, $12, $90, do not buy them, alright? So if you're interested in the 10 plants that should not cost you more than $10, then keep on watching. Alright everyone, so welcome back. I'm just gonna jump right into it. The first plant that should not cost you a lot of money is actually the money tree. The Pachera aquatica, the money tree should not cost you more than $10 because this plant is very common. You can actually find these plants at the dollar store. I actually came across mine at the dollar store years ago. Obviously prices have changed since then, but still these are plants that are pretty common and they should be more affordable. So this is my Pachera aquatica, aka money tree. This plant should not cost you more than $10. I believe I paid about like $1 to $3 for this plant. You know, of course it was smaller, it was much tinier, and I've had it for like at least 6 years now, and maybe 7 years I've probably had this plant, and it has grown tremendously. It's budding off, it's doing these little new growth bits. I'm not too sure if you can notice them, but there's a whole bunch of active new growth points that this plant is just exhibiting. Money tree, good for prosperity, good for money, good for just air circulation. Get you a affordable under $10 Pachera aquatica. So the next plant that you should not be spending more than $10 on is definitely the Epipremnum aureum, aka golden pothos. This is one of the many in my collection. This plant is so common. You can find it outside, you can find it walking out in the trees, you can find it in restaurants, you can find them at essentially every big box store, every hardware store. Do not spend a lot of money for this plant. Of course, the larger the size, the more valuable it is, because over time it does take time to develop and flourish. After just like a year or two, this plant would seriously just flourish. It would just vine off and just grow and grow and grow. Also, if you're able to propagate this plant, which is very easy to propagate, all you have to do is either just stick cuttings in water or stick cuttings in the soil and let it do its thing. This plant will reward you by vining off and just being thicker and thicker and bushier up top. This is the next plant you should not be spending more than $10 on. The next plant you should not be spending a lot of money on are definitely spider plants. They're cute. They have the Sue, the Bonnie, the spider plants. They're cute, but those plants just multiply so easily. They're easy to propagate. Again, you can find them many places, and again, once they are established in your home, they just grow so many pups. Plants like that, they're not very valuable, so you should pay attention to, you know, how easy is a plant propagated, and are you getting it from someone who's just coming in the market trying to make a quick buck off of unenlightened buyers. So the spider plant is definitely the next one that you should not be spending more than $10 on. The next plant you shouldn't be spending more than $10 on is definitely the Philodendron scadens. The just plain old green philodendron. As you can see, this is one of mine. I have a few of these in my collection, and this baby is living inside of this tiny little pot, and you see the roots are just so swirlacious and delicious. Again, similarly to the pothos, the Epipremnum aureum, this plant is so easy to propagate. It is such a prolific grower. Once you have one and it's established in your home, just expect it to just continue to vine and vine and vine and vine and vine and vine and grow. You should not be spending a lot of money on this. It's very common. You could find them again at big box stores, at hardware stores, at little grocery stores, or even at the little flower markets, the little flower stands that are, you know, around some areas. Check out the, you know, Philodendron scadens. The next plant that shouldn't cost you more than $10 is actually the Transcantia. I don't think this plant is really worth all the hype. And again, all of these plants I'm mentioning, you can find them in big box stores. You can find them very affordably online. Do not overspend. Do not spend more than $10 on this plant. But when I mention Transcantia, it can be dependent on the variety. There are more sought after varieties that are not as common as, let's say, the regular green and white or the regular purple. Hey, are you still watching? If you are, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you aren't already. If you're enjoying these videos, share this. Share my videos. How YouTube works is with the more engagement that you do with my videos, then the more eyes that YouTube is able to put on my channel and, you know, get your girl to her 10,000 subscriber goal. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that last year my goal was to get to 1,000 and now my goal is to get to 10K. So if we can get to 10K around May, oh, I rhymed, then that's our goal, alright everyone? So let's get back into these 10 plants that you should not be spending more than $10 on. Alright y'all, this next one I've actually owned and I no longer have it. This plant should not even cost more than $5. It should not even cost more than $2, okay? Because it is ivy, okay? Ivy. It could either be the variegated ivy or the plain old green ivy. You should not be spending more than $10 on ivy. Ivy is so common. You can go to the park and just yank it from the wall. You can go to the forest and just yank it from the ground. Be careful if it's not poison, okay? So maybe not yank it, right? Because that's poaching and we don't poach. We shouldn't poach. It's not up to me to tell you what to do, but the next one should be the ivies. Ferns are the next ones, okay? Similar to the ivy, you can find this bad boy growing on the walls. You could find this bad boy growing in the park, in the playgrounds, in the forest. You know, you could find ferns growing so many places. Living in New York, I go to the park, I'm walking down the street, there are just ferns growing from cracks of the concrete. They're everywhere. You should not be spending more than $10 on ferns. You can get them in smaller sizes and watch them blossom. Boom, 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 boom. This thing will get huge in no time. The next plants are definitely Carnosas. Hoya Carnosas should not cost you more than $10. In my opinion, Hoya Carnosas are the most common Hoyas. Hoya Carnosas to me are the equivalent Hoya to the golden Pothos, to the Philodendron. They are just like the basic plants. You can get them anywhere. Do not overspend on them. They are such prolific growers. The Hoya Carnosa, definitely you should not be spending more than $10 on. The next plant are actually Pileas. Can you believe this plant has made the list? I remember years ago this plant was just a gem. It was the most uncommon plant ever. It was just so beautiful aesthetically. It had these large round leaves and it looks like a UFO. But now Pileas, you could get them for like $3. You could get them for under $10. Do not overspend on Pileas because they have been mass produced. You can find them anywhere. Again, you can find them at big box stores. You can find them at local nurseries. Do not overspend on them. Don't fall into the hype. They're really easy to propagate. Again, you can just break off the leaf, cut the leaf, root the stem. It literally is a plant that can root through so many different ways. The Pilea peperomoides, that one is the next one you should not be spending more than $10 on. The last and final plant you should not be spending a lot of money are Calatheas, however way you want to pronounce it. Those plants you should not be spending more than $10 on. They're so common, they're annoying, they're very annoying. Do not spend more than $10 on plants that will crisp up on you like 1, 2, 3, alright? Do not do it. Save yourself the headache. They're common, they're annoying, and Calatheas should not be costing more than $10 and you should not be spending more than $10 on them. So my salty pecan, those are the 10 plants that you should not be spending more than $10 on. If you see them, do not buy them. If you see them, don't report the seller, don't report the post, but stay clear of it because you shouldn't be spending so much money on plants that are so easy to propagate. You shouldn't be spending so much money on plants that are so common and that should be affordable because they have always been affordable and there is no reason except for supply and demand for these plants to cost the way that they shouldn't even be costing, okay? So my salty pecans, thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please let me know by giving it a thumbs up and sharing. Subscribe if you aren't already. Join this little cookie family because we're pretty awesome here. Become a salty pecan, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to be notified every single time I upload a new video. And I will see you in the next one. Let's get growing. Bye.